Hello, Mathcat's the name, and welcome to a post-run commentary for Epic Battle Fantasy 2 Any Percent, of which I have recently become a world record holder for. If you've never heard of this game, it's part of the series of turn-based RPGs made in Flash by Kubo Games, aka Matt Rozak, a sort of half-parody, half-pastiche of the JRPG genre, with the most obvious draw being Final Fantasy. EBF2 was made in 2009, just a few short months after the first game, and both of those titles handle their battles as a sort of wave fighter. So, in the context of the speedrun, the main challenge is finding ways to defeat enemies with the minimal number of actions possible. So we'll just get into it right now. Time starts when we click the difficulty. We're going to be playing on 0 for the obvious reasons. So the first thing we do here is switch Matt over to the Soul Eater. It's his strongest sword, 60% attack bonus is just way too easy to pass up on. We will not be using him for any attacks early on, though, as Natalie's Pulsar will have a clean kill on any of the foes here. Meanwhile, Matt's Wind Slash, his AoE attack, would be kind of a roll. Now, before we get into this final wave here, I get in a quick temper buff on Matt to just juice his attack even further, in which you'll see why in a short moment. Matt's best attack in this game is the Unleash skill, and that's mostly just because it draws its power based off of whatever sword Matt currently has equipped. The Soul Eater is his strongest sword bar none, so it gives a very strong attack and nearly one-shots his Kitten Fort. And we'll have Natalie clean up for this kill. It's fine that it didn't one-shot. It is still kind of a questionable roll. And after that, we get our wave bonus here. In this game, we are given anytime we clear out a set of foes, we are given a stat bonus and a skill bonus to choose from. The stat bonus is always for any of the character's primary stats, but for Matt, we will always boost his attack, and for Natalie, we'll always boost her magic attack in this run. We also get the choice of skill bonuses, and these are somewhat weighed by whatever whatever you've been doing prior to that fight. For example, we're given Astrology on Natalie because we were using Pulsar so much, and Astrology will boost the power of Pulsar by 25%, which is why we're going to be taking it immediately. For Matt, we take Sword Heart because that will just juice his Unleashed damage even further, and that'll be useful in future fights. Now, we have these bugs here, which will also just fold immediately to Pulsar. Just easy pickings. It is somewhat of a roll here, so I do have to have Matt clean up, but that's fine. Into the second wave bonus, we take a Swordsman and an Astrology ×2. Swordsman isn't really useful right now, but it will be useful for a later synergy, though I would have preferred to take something else. And for Natalie, we take Astrology 2. Just boosts her Pulsar damage up by 50% now, which is really useful for later on. And now we're into the Guardian fight. The Guardian fight has a gimmick where the main body only takes half damage until the shield is down. A hand bomb can kill in one hit, but I do not get it here. I only have 2 hand bombs to start with, so if I missed it on the second attempt, then it would probably be a reset, because then the fight gets too complicated, but luckily that doesn't happen here. Natalie gets stunned here, but that's fine. We're early enough in the game where that's not too big of a deal if she loses a turn. 2 Unleashes kills the Guardian, and that's a very quick fight. So here we take Slayer and Mighty Mage. These are both just generic stat increases. It just helps boost our damage, and that's really what we just want right now. We get a little bit of a story skip here and it just goes out through some story beats, and then you get a chance to do a minigame with No Legs. What we really want is just to kill No Legs immediately, because we're not here to get extra money. We don't really need it. I buy a few other attack potion. I get another attack potion ether for safety, but otherwise you don't really need to do anything else here on 0 difficulty. Once again, Pulsar will be one-shotting everything we see for the time being. Although, things are getting slightly bulky here with the jelly, so sometimes Matt does need to help clean up. Now for the Glacier Eater, you do want to use Eruption on it, because while the Unleash is still useful, it's not necessarily a guaranteed win for a reason you'll see very soon. But otherwise, Pulsar is still clearing out most things. Although we do opt for more single target damage here as well. So yeah, the big downside to Soul Eater Unleashed being as strong as it is that it only has 60% accuracy. It can whiff, and that can be a huge time loss if it happens too often. Luckily, this is not the fight where that would be a big problem. And then for this, we take Counter and Wizardry. Wizardry is just another generic increase, but Counter is something we really want right now. That will help out in a lot of fights here, because Counter will, well, allow Matt to retaliate when getting hit with his basic attack. And that's also what Swordsman is useful for. If he counters with Soul Eater and all this attack he's got going on, it does help chunk bosses, and that can help slim down turns. It's not as useful in this fight per se, because of a few other moving parts, but it'll come handy down the line. Going into the Golem fight itself, the Giga Golem is interesting in that it can be in two different forms when we first encounter it. It has an ice form and a fire form. The ice form will spawn with a fire bit, and the fire form will spawn with an ice bit. We generally want the ice form because it is physically frailer, and the fire bit will just blow itself up. The only thing here, though, to worry about is that it can freeze the party members. It doesn't do it here, but Nally does go down, which kind of same diff. So we do have to spend a little time getting healed back up, but otherwise this isn't too bad of a fight. And yeah, it just folds to a few more elemental attacks after the big hits. I forgot to mention that this game also has limit breaks in it as well. Earlier we used Matt's Cleaver, which is a big swing of damage, and that really helps chunk out the Golem. For Natalie, her limit break doesn't come in handy just yet, but it is useful. For our wave clear bonuses, we take Cleaver on Matt, which just boosts Cleaver more. And for Natalie, we take Elementalist because there's not very many other good options that we want at the moment. The single target damage of Elementalist can come in handy, though, so that's what I'm thinking as I'm going into this. It's a lot of like split-second decision-making here, because it is still a very fast run to do. So into the desert, Iceberg just... Matt's attack is still buffed from an earlier attack potion, so I don't really need to feel the need to use Unleash. So yeah, that and a Pulsar just clears that. For this, same dealio. Iceberg, Pulsar, big damage. And this is why I picked up Counter as well. You just get to clear out the Sandworm tail for free. Easy get. We don't have any good options for Matt here, so I take Earthquake. I would love to take Sniper, but interestingly enough, the EBF collection has one bug, and it's this skill alone. Sniper's bonus is lost if you switch Matt's sword, and we will have to switch Matt's sword for some future fights. So that's very unfortunate. For Natalie, however, I see magic counters available, and I'm going to take it, because for the same reason that Matt's counter is very useful, Natalie's counter is also really good. Hers is using her Lucky Star spell, which is a very inconsistent damage spell. But because Lucky Star also benefits from astrology bonuses, it is still very useful to have that right now. So yeah, moving on, we are going into the Sandworm itself. We're going to use Natalie's Limit Break here, Kyun. It gives her and Matt a full heal, big stat ups, debuffs the foe, very useful. We also follow that up with a Matt Unleashed, which, with all those factors in mind, does hit the damage cap of 99999. Iceberg helps out for a little extra damage, and then Pulsar cleans this up. Very fast fight. For this we take Chemist because there's not very many other options, and Kyun because we just want Natalie's Limit to charge faster. We hit our second checkpoint here, so we're going to get a full heal from this as well, and another no-legs minigame that we have to just die quickly on. I guess it's worth noting on the first fight I did lose a little bit of time from missing the enemies there, but it's fine. We take another attack potion and max ether. So we're going to switch Matt's sword over to the Anarchy for one big reason. These enemies here, these spirits, they have auto life attached to them, and that will make them auto revive when killed at full health. The Anarchy's Unleash is able to remove that buff from them, which does save us one action, and just one action. Because here, we can't really do it here, because Pulsar has to kill these both. But it's still helpful to have. Yeah, that Unleash kills it outright without needing to kill it a second time, which is very useful. We missed the kill on this other one, but the Lucky Star counter comes in clutch and helps us save a turn. And then Pulsar cleans up. So for this next one, we take Sword Break, no, Ready Edge, and Resistance. Natalie, the rest of Natalie's good options are kind of drying up at this point, and then for Matt, we take Ready Edge because we will need to switch his sword again anyways soon enough. And this is just a good way to keep his attack up while doing so. So, for the Zombie Hydras, these have a gimmick where you must kill both of them in short succession or they will revive, so we are forced to spread the damage a bit. I switched to the Heaven's Gate for this purpose, as it has a holy boost that will help Sykin's damage go up. Natalie, both our characters' limits are coming up online soon enough, though, so I am in a pretty good spot to be in right now. With that attack, Matt's Cleaver is back online, and it manages to clear both heads in one attack, which is really nice, because otherwise this fight is a bit of a slog. We take Ultra Cleaver and Protection P for this wave bonus. Ultra Cleaver, we're just boosting Cleaver's damage even further, and again, Natalie's good options are still pretty dry at this point, so I don't need anything else, really. Actually, no, I take the Sniper. I forgot I took Sniper. She doesn't really need it either here, but what's a little more consistency? I do have to wait ace some turns though early on this fight just because we're taking a bit of damage, and also Natalie did get skilled during that Hydra fight, but it's made up for by her hitting some pretty neat counters here. I let her use a Pulsar early here just to get the Spirit's first life out of the way. And then a Wind Slash to chunk through all of them. Honestly, the more optimal option probably would have been to just hit one of them with a single target attack and then have Matt's count, and then get something, and then get more cleanup for my trouble afterwards. Matt dies, so I do have to waste some time healing him back up, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Now he hits a lot of counters here, which is why I'm like swearing by magic counter being so good. For this, I take Hurricane and Anti-Magic. Hurricane is not useful at this point. It would have been nicer to get earlier, but at this point it is just more filler. For Natalie, I take Anti-Magic, not really for any big reason here. She doesn't really need, again, she doesn't really need anything else. But Anti-Magic debuffing the foe's magic defense on hit when using Lucky Star does synergize well with her counter. It does let me do, like, maybe a bit of a feedback loop. So maybe I get to use that. So now we're getting into the final fight here. This is the Valkyrie tank. We immediately unleash on it for a huge chunk of damage. And follow it up with a Thunderbolt, which is some nice extra damage, but not a lot to kill it. But it's fine. Just one more attack will clear that part. Now, Lance presents himself. He is the final boss of this fight, although really it is just a Valkyrie tank. I immediately buff up and hit another Unleash. Damage cap is nice. The other reason I take the counter here is just because for this fight, any attack that hits Lance or the tank cannon will also damage the tank slightly, so anything that gets countered is still useful damage. And yeah, those counters are just fat. It's nice. It's amazing. I opt for a Pulsar here. Spreading the damage is nice, and getting rid of the tank cannon does save us on some time. Matt's Cleaver comes back online at a really great time. And then Natalie will clear us out with a Pulsar. And time is when the tank finishes exploding right here. And let me unmute the video so you can hear real Morgie talk a bit here. Just real quickly. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh. Oh. So yeah, that was the run. This has been a very interesting moment for me because I had already gotten the world record at this point. I had beaten this category on Saturday, and had gotten a 13:16, which was like a few seconds ahead of world record, but I also saw that my sum of best at the time was like an 11:30ish, so I was like, yeah, I could totally see us breaking a barrier easily here. So I was kind of surprised to see it just happen so simply like this. I saved 2 seconds off this run, and it was really amazing. Now, I do think that a sub 11 is certainly possible, but it does require even better luck and maybe some more considerations to routing here. For example, if there was a way to get the similarly consistent damage to Soul Eater Unleashed that didn't rely on its very shaky accuracy, that would be great. Or if I could get a better skill bonus sequence, like if I had access to counter earlier and magic counter earlier, that could be really good. And if that Lava Eater didn't miss on Unleash there, that might have been the difference there. But in any case, it's still really amazing to see this run just kind of get taken down to 11-10 in such a short amount of time from me focusing on it. But anyways, that is the EBF2 any percent run. I will be trying to do epic percent later at some point, but for now, this is it. Uh, Thank you for watching and thank you for listening to this commentary.